We would like to thank, first of all the media that has come today to hear a message of truth. My name is Pastor Julie Contreras, that's JULIE CONTRERAS, and I am with United Giving Hope, which is a non-for-profit organization that serves humanity beyond borders. Today, as a citizen of the United States of America, knowing how great our nation is, knowing how rich we are in many aspects, and knowing the values that we have as Americans, this is unacceptable, inappropriate treatment of human beings. And if we want to look at history in America and in general what has been taught to us, there was a leader in Germany years ago, and his name was Adolf Hitler. And he came into office for a few months, and he created concentration camps. This is not the exact same thing, but it's very much a parallel of taking human beings and telling them that they are less worthy of being allowed to simulate into our society. This is not the answer of herding them into a tent city. The cold will come soon, and we know all too well the cold that exists here in Chicago, the below zero weather that keeps us in our homes with heat and blankets and socks and clothes. I don't believe, as of today, that there is a tent that could be created that's going to defend people from the elements that will come to us in the next few months. There are so many abandoned buildings here in Chicago. Give the Venezuelan, Colombian asylum seekers a bucket, a mop, and a broom and soap, and they will mop and sweep and clean and create their homes inside of these abandoned buildings. We need to provide resources in the aspect of social services, not to make them dependent on the system, but to rehabilitate them so they can be a positive in our community and contribute to us. Migrating is natural, especially if you are fleeing imminent danger from your violent-ridden streets in Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, and all the other countries that we see migrants coming from, even Russia, the Ukraine. This is the United States of America. And we're here today armed with peace and prayer to tell Mayor Johnson, we say no to a tent city. We are asking you to treat the asylum seekers with respect and dignity, or you, sir, are no better than the governor of Texas, or you, sir, are no better than the traffickers that have made money off the backs. The money that you are going to receive from the federal government will be given to your friends to build tents, or to your friends in the fancy hotels on Michigan Avenue, to organizations who are paying salaries, but none of that money ever comes to the base. Our organizations have created matrices. Today we have families standing with us here that are asylum seekers that we've taken off the street to rehabilitate them so that they can live a life of freedom and security, because all they're guilty of is coming to our country for a better life. Again, Mayor Johnson, we ask you to treat asylum seekers with respect and dignity. Now I'm going to bring forward two Venezuelan refugees before I bring the organizations to speak, so that they can let you know how they feel about how their community would be treated if they're herded inside of tent cities.
Pertenezco a la comunidad con el refugio de la pastora Julie Contreras. No sé
No te pones nervioso, está bien, está bien.
Lo único que digo es que venimos a un país para mejor futuro.
We come to a country to have a better future.
Creo que todos merecemos respeto y todos somos personas.
And I believe that we all deserve respect because we're all people.
Somos seres humanos,
We are human beings,
no animales.
not animals.
Y creo que todos merecemos ser tratados por igual.
And we are all deserve to be treated equally.
Mi nombre es Valentina y vengo a apoyar a la comunidad.
Habla con ellos. My name is Valentina and I come to support.
ah,
Sí.
y creo que han luchado mucho para llegar aquí
We have struggled very hard to arrive here
y no merecen eso.
and they don't deserve to be treated that way.
Y tampoco los niños,
And the children,
porque el frío va a estar muy fuerte.
because the cold is going to be very strong.
Y son niños y creo que si fuera mi caso no me gustaría que me fuera pasado lo mismo.
And they're only children, and if it was me, I wouldn't want to be in that same situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Baltasar Enriquez. I'm the president of the Little Village Community Council. That's Baltazar Enriquez, Enriquez. And we're gathered here this evening to see if we could get it through Mayor Johnson's head that these individuals that have fled their country to find asylum here should not be profited. They should not make money out of them. These 10 cities are nothing but money makers. I've been in the border where these tents are a failure, and they will be a failure here in the city of Chicago. So we're asking him to also recognize that these families are already traumatized, and to re-traumatize them by putting them in a tent will not only increase the COVID numbers here, also a pandemic. So we're very cautious on how we should treat these individuals, because again, they have crossed 8 countries. Some of them already come with malaria, with sicknesses that we need to be concerned about. So what we're asking the mayor is very simple. Stop this idea. Let's talk to even my Catholic church. Open the doors. Open the doors to the churches. If Jesus Christ was knocking, they have just denied him entrance. And that is not the Christian way. That's not what I was taught. I was taught that you open the door and you give them shelter. That's all we're asking. To treat us like human beings, like Christians, not like animals. And to also ensure the safety of these asylum seekers who are vulnerable. We already had incidents in the police department where there's allegation of rape, there's allegation of mistreatment, there's allegations of them beating them up. So we want to make sure that these asylum seekers that do not understand our law yet, they're just arrived. They don't know they have rights. They don't know that they have the right to complain. So they're being taken advantage. So we want to be the grassroots organizations to run these shelters, because we know and we have the experience on treating them. We know how to make sure that we don't re-traumatize them again. Our organizations have the experience. We've been on the forefront for years, and we're going to continue being on the forefront. These people are our people. And these Latinos have not only come from Venezuela, like the sister said, they come from all over the country. And we are going to help them not have the same experience that we did in the 80s, in the 90s, when there was immigration raids. This mall got raided years ago in Little Village. They have targeted us before. So we want to make sure that we don't go backwards. We want to go forward. And now with Trump, they might get elected. We know that these houses will not be nothing but a roundup. We're rounding them up right now. So when Trump comes into office, we'll get them all deported. That's why we're fighting very hard to make sure we get them out of the system, because we know that later on the system will deport them. We've seen this before, and we know how this is going to end up. So that's what we're making sure, that as an organization, we continue being their voice, we continue advocating for them, and telling Mayor Brandon Johnson, will you put your family in those tents? Will you sacrifice your families? And if so, then let's get it. If you're going to put your families in there, then let's put these families in there too. But if you're not, stop being a hypocrite. Because we don't need that type of leadership in the city of Chicago. Mi nombre es Baltasar Enríquez, soy el presidente del Concilio Comunitario de La Villita y esta tarde estamos aquí reunidos porque queremos mandarle un mensaje al alcalde de Chicago, Brandon Johnson, de que nuestra gente son humanos, de que nuestra gente merece ser respetados y tratados con dignidad, especialmente cuando ya vienen de un país donde los está oprimiendo. El gobierno los ha corrido del país y llegaron aquí con una esperanza de un mejor futuro. Y ahora los vamos a tratar de esta manera, poniéndolos en casas con carpas. Nosotros sabemos que el invierno va a ser un invierno muy duro, donde las temperaturas no van a poder resistir estas carpas, el viento las va a volar, y lo que miramos que aquí el alcalde simplemente está haciendo dinero con estos refugiados. Y queremos que él pare de esta idea y que se le entre en la cabeza de que si él es capaz de poner a sus familias en estas carpas, de adelante pone a esta gente. Pero sabemos que él no las va a poner y que realmente sea consciente de que estas familias ya vienen con trauma. Han cruzado fronteras, 8 de ellas, y vienen con enfermedades, vienen con la trauma, ya han sido golpeados, han sido fueron puestos bajo mucha presión bajo los coyotes y todo lo que han pasado, y luego llegan aquí a Chicago y vuelven a ser retraumados porque el gobierno los quiere empujar en unas carpas donde sabemos que va a traer más enfermedades. Sabemos que es muy difícil vivir en estas carpas y con las temperaturas sabemos que no va a funcionar, y simplemente es una forma que está haciendo el alcalde para darle contratos a sus amigos y crear dinero atrás de la espalda de estos refugiados. Nosotros hemos estado desde el inicio allí con ellos, vamos a seguir continuando apoyándolos y vamos a asegurarnos de que tengan una voz y que se les trate con justicia, ¿verdad? Y con respeto. Y a la Iglesia Católica, yo siendo un católico, le estamos pidiendo que abran las puertas, que todas las iglesias abran las puertas y que ayuden a estos refugiados a entrar para que les den un lugar seguro. De nuevo les vamos a repetir que esto no es cristiano lo que están haciendo. Queremos asegurarnos de que el alcalde se le quite esta idea y ponga a estos refugiados en lugares que estén seguros, donde no vayan a ser violados sus derechos o estar en un área muy fría. Con eso, esta es nuestra organización, el Concilio Comunitario de La Villita. Vamos a seguir abogando por ellos hasta que se nos trate con respeto. Gracias.
Hay bastante edificios vacíos, iglesias,
Sí, nosotros hemos hablado a la Basílica Our Lady of Sorrow y le hemos pedido a la Basílica, cual tiene una escuela que cerró hace 7 años, a que abra las puertas de la escuela. Entre esta gente existen plomeros, electricistas, gente que sabe pintar, gente que pueda arreglar el edificio. Hay que ponerlos a que ellos mismos los arreglen para que así mismo puedan utilizar estos lugares como áreas de shelters, áreas de refugio. There is plenty of abandoned buildings here in the city of Chicago. We have reached out to the Basilica Our Lady of the Sorrows for them to open their doors. There's a school that they closed like 7 years ago that could be rehab, and within the asylum seekers, there's plumbers, there's electricians, there's painters, people that can repair those buildings and utilize them for shelter.
So should the city hire the migrants to do the work on improving these buildings so they can stay?
Yes, sir. And they could pay them cash or find a way to get them gratified. But it could be done. It's just
There could be a city on the program whereby
Yes.
buildings get rehab.
by
People have
yes, sir.
Yes.
So it could be done. It could definitely be done.
Something that's really important es que la gente quieren trabajar. Ellos no vienen aquí para que esperar en una estación de policía. Eso no es el sueño de ellos. Hay que trabajar. Y si hay edificios, yo les he dicho, dales una bota, una escoba, jabón y están listos la gente para hacer algo positivo por sus familias. But the city of Chicago has been going about this the wrong way. We have a program that we created that does not enable them. When they come, they go into their homes that are sponsored for 2 months. They then have their cash paying jobs until we're waiting for their work permit. It's very complex. The last mayor had $57 million. My God, if our organizations had a little inch of that, we would already have thousands of them with their documentation. That is pure abuse. So this mayor cannot sit there and say that he's going to place them under a tent. How many years, Mayor Johnson, are you prepared to maintain them there? Not giving them any services, the overcrowding, children inside, and you're telling people, you're discriminating them, telling them that they don't belong in our society, hence they need to be locked up in a tent, just like Texas and the governor of Texas does, and Immigration Customs Enforcement. The tent cities are to lock you up. I received hundreds of messages on WhatsApp from the migrants afraid, asking me if that was ICE that was creating that with Mayor Johnson. I don't know. Is Mayor Johnson now polimigra? I don't know if this is the type of mentality he has. And I heard the gentleman speak after he was elected, saying that refugees were welcome in the city. This is the city of big shoulders. We can hold a lot. Dreams? Yeah, they don't come here looking for a handout. They come with dreams and aspirations for a better life. They're only guilty for coming here for a better life. And our great nation was built by immigrants. These are just the new immigrants that have arrived. Treat them with respect and dignity. I'm going to bring forward now Pastor Davina Casas. Speak loud and print.
Hello, I'm Davina Casas from the Monarch Organization, Davina, last name Casas. I just want to say a few things and just make it really clear. The migrants that are coming in, the asylum seekers that are coming in, they're becoming, a responsibility because of the fact that they don't have a way to be here. So I would say all these buildings that are abandoned, all these neighborhoods that no longer have people there, why are we not opening these things up for them to, be resourceful? We don't want liabilities here. And they're becoming a liability because of the way that we're mishandling them. None of these people should be in police departments at all. There's so much money out here that is being given, and it's not being used to make them resourceful. We want them to be resourceful. We want them to give back resources to us, not take our resources. So there's thousands of them that are coming here. Everybody says this is a sanctuary city, but it's a temporary sanctuary city because we're not doing anything to rehabilitate them. We have to rehabilitate the people for them to give money back to our communities. So with the programs that we do have set up and the things that we are doing, there's thousands of people that are coming in asking for help, and we are trying to help them, but also I need to know where are all these other organizations. Even today, where are these organizations today? Because there's thousands of people here still on the streets. There's millions of dollars that were given to these first-class organizations, and guess what? The people are still on the street. They're not being rehabilitated. They're not being brought into society properly. They're not being told how to manage themselves. So what happens? After a year, you get deported, or your failure to the court system because you don't have a place to live. You want them to work, you don't want them to be a liability, then you need to put them to work. You need to have them have a home. If they have a home, they can go to work. If they don't have a home, they're going to be outside of these police departments. They're going to be over there on LaSalle asking for money. They're going to be sitting around on blankets all over the city asking for money because that's all they can do. So apart from that, we see these tents all over the place on the border, and they're not effective. So I would say that all these abandoned buildings that we do have, let's open them up. Let's put them to be resourceful, and let's give them policies and procedures to coming into these buildings. Having these organizations open, policies and procedures, You're here for a certain amount of time so that you can get rehabilitated into our system and you can be resourceful. So that's all I have to say.
Now I'm going to bring forward Catalina Andrade from the Miguel Angel Memorial Project. Casas, Davina, C-A-S-A-S. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Catalina Andrade. I am the founder of Miguel Angel Rios Memorial Project. I am here today supporting this cause. Chicago is a sanctuary city, so I do believe these families need to be treated with respect and dignity. And that's it. Thank you.
Policies and procedures.
Many years ago, with the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund, MALDEF, when there was the crisis of raids and operatives, at that time, I don't even remember who was the mayor. Mayor Daley, I believe, was. Along with MALDEF, we sat down in a round table. And those of us that work in an organic sense, like United Giving Hope, we're at the border and here, we create organic matrices so that we could help them get through all the red tape of the system, but in a legal format. So many individuals like Mayor Johnson, I'm not sure who his advisor are around him, but they're not really discussing federal law and what's happening. As of today, USCIS has opened up the permit process for anyone that's been paroled in. But that's kind of a two-sided thing, because if I go get my parole permission to work and pay $490 and I don't submit my asylum, well, ultimately, I don't have a legal case. But if there was something that we could create within the city that's prided itself on being one of the first sanctuary cities, we could sit down and put information together to create that system to help them get off the street and get into homes. I know there's been recent tension in some of the communities with them, but there's more than enough abandoned buildings all around Chicago. And again, somebody mentioned about putting them to work and paying them. That's an excellent idea, because people need to survive and they don't want to be dependent on a system. These children behind you walked through a jungle. Those asylum seekers from Colombia and Venezuela and South America have walked through jungles and survived. The south side of Chicago is nothing. The west side of Chicago is nothing for them. They will survive wherever they have a roof over their head, and they will contribute to us. And me personally, as a pastor of United Giving Hope Sanctuary, I'm making a call out to every pastor in the city of Chicago, every priest, every bishop, every cardinal. The last time I know that Jesus Christ was in a church, a temple, whatever you want to call it, he was flipping over tables, reminding them that they needed to do the work of God. And it isn't inside of their gold palaces. It's opening the door, walking in the mud and sticking their hand in the mud, just like Jesus did. Or in this case, sticking your hand in the police station. We've created, with the Sisters of Mercy, a system of host families. Families that are taking some of our refugees that are arriving here through our programs, giving them shelter for months, sick children, shelters, and programs to rehabilitate them into our society, because they don't really know what it's like to live in a democracy, but they dreamt about the freedom that they're in today. So for me, I make a call out to every church in the city of Chicago. You want to go preach the word of Lord? Let's be the living church and help every single migrant that we can. Maybe not all of us can open our doors. Some of us don't even have doors to open, but somehow we're doing that work as God's disciples, but also as good people. You don't even have to be religious to be a good person. You just need to know that if there's a human being that is in our country They should be treated with respect and dignity. Mhm. ¿Alguien más quiere decir algo? Somebody else want to say something? Oh, Christian Armendariz. Yes, sir. I forgot. My young youth leader.
Hello, my name is Christian Armendariz with the Little Village. Well, I'm going to spell it out first. KRISTIANARMENDARIZ. My name is Christian Armendariz. I'm a community organizer with the Little Village Community Council. And we're here today, demanding from Brandon Johnson to do more than just put these refugees in tents. Winter is very harsh in Chicago. We have below -degree weather here and winds beyond that. And just to place families, children, and individuals in these tents, it's inhumane. It's inhumane. They're not accustomed to the winters here in Chicago, but yet they've been here a year, and our elected officials do not have a permanent safety plan for them, so they could get adjusted into society and contribute just like every single one of those. They don't have an active rehabilitation program for them. They need to start expediting these working permits. These family members have debts back home that they need to pay. They have mouths to feed. So that's what our elected officials should be focused on, expediting these working permits so they can sustain themselves and their families. We should be calling out our elected officials, our Congressman Troy Garcia, son of an immigrant. He should know firsthand how difficult it is to come to a new country and start from nothing.
Correct. Amen.
We should as well. We're calling out on all the progressive movement, all the progressive elected officials. They should be the ones moving this campaign, helping out the refugees. The federal government the city of Chicago approved $47 million.
Where's it at?
And where's it at? Only 3 million went to asylum seekers. 44 million went into salaries. The rest went into the asylum seekers. How can you explain $43 million going into salaries? These same organizations that are being controlled by the mayor, they're their best friends. They have the best interests for themselves. They don't really care about these new arrivals. They only care about their salaries. That's why we need grassroots organizations like the Little Village Community Council, like United Giving Hope, to be at the forefront, to be helping these families get adjusted into society. And like I said, it's uncalled for, it's inhumane to put these families in tents, considering the fact that the winters are very harsh in the city of Chicago. Now I'm going to repeat it in Spanish real quick. So, hola, buenas tardes, me llamo Christian Armendariz. Soy un organizador de parte de la organización El Concilio Comunitario de la Villita. Y hoy estamos aquí presente para pedirle al alcalde Brandon Johnson que haga más por estos refugiados, que no nomás los ponga en unas tienditas de campamento, porque sabiendo que en esta ciudad hay inviernos muy feos de temperaturas bajo cero. Entonces no es justo poner a estas familias en tienditas sabiendo que va a haber unos inviernos bien duros este invierno. Estos refugiados ya llevan más de un año en esta ciudad y el alcalde no ha tenido el alcalde y nuestros electores, nuestros políticos no tienen un plan en concreto para estas familias, no tienen un plan permanente para asegurarnos que ellos estén seguros y que se acostumbren a nuestra sociedad. Lo que tiene que enfocarse el alcalde y nuestros electores oficiales tienen que enfocarse en sacarles permisos de trabajar para que ellos mismos puedan mantenerse a ellos mismos y a sus familias y poder mandar dinero para atrás a sus países. Eso es lo que nuestros electores oficiales tienen que enfocarse. Tienen que sacar esos permisos de trabajar y le estamos pidiendo a nuestro congresista Chuy García, que es hijo de un inmigrante, que ponga atención a estos refugiados y pueden pasar un permiso de trabajo para que ellos puedan mantenerse ellos mismos. Es todo lo que le estamos pidiendo y que no pongan a estas familias, a estos refugiados en campamentos, en tienditas, porque eso no van a ser condiciones para un humano. Eso no es justo y con eso terminamos.
There's one last thing I want to say, very important. There are organizations in the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois that are receiving millions of dollars. Every organization here, the Monarchy, Little Village, the Miguel Angel Project, United Giving Hope, we have been working since day one when the quote-unquote crisis. I've been doing this for decades, so it's no difference, just maybe a little bit more politics involved as they politicize. And this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. This is a humanitarian crisis. And when I say that because I have the right to say that. We all have the right to come here and denounce it because we are sticking our hands in the mud. We are walking in the mud. We are picking up families every day, rehabilitating them and putting them into homes, one family at a time. Since day one, Baltazar, Davina, when the mayor at that time didn't want to allow them to get families. Every day you can go to Little Village Community Council. Any Venezuelan family will tell you that they're getting clothes and shoes and whatever they need. Pastor Casas goes and rescues people that are being treated inhumanely or trafficked, tons of trafficking victims. Where is that money going? And how are you holding these organizations accountable? Like I said in the beginning, where are all the sanctuary city advocates that cried and sat on that council floor asking for there to be a piece of paper that has no value if you're not standing for the truth, asking for respect and dignity for these families? I want to thank you all for coming today. And Brandon Johnson, escucha.
Estamos en la lucha.
Brandon Johnson, escucha.
Estamos en la lucha.
¿Y qué queremos?
Respeto y dignidad.
¿Y qué queremos?
Respeto y dignidad.
¿Cuándo?
Ahora.